Hey, Luke here with CatsandCarp.com, and I'm going to show you how to tie my favorite carp fishing rig. It's a method lead with a blowback hair rig. Alright, so this is the rig I'm using. This is a method lead, about a 40-gram method lead. You can see it's got lead on the bottom and these ribs on the top. And it's designed so you take a little bit of bait and you jam it in there. And it squishes right in. Okay? Okay, get this ball of chum there, and then you have this hook and you can stick it right in there like that. Okay? Then when it hits the water, it'll break down and dissolve, and the carp come up and suck it up. Now I've got a hair rig here. You see how you got a plastic piece of corn attached to the hair, not the hook. I'm going to take some of this Mega Tutti Frutti flavor from Rod Hutchinson. It's a carp bait company, and I am going to dip it down in there. Okay, and I'm going to take and just put a little bit on there, give it some extra flavor. Oh, that's powerful. You can smell that. And there we go. We're ready to cast out. Okay, I'm going to show you how to tie this rig. Now, this is the more advanced way of tying this rig. There's some simpler methods I'm going to show you at the end of this video. But at any rate, you start off with a piece of leader. You take about 24 to 36 inches of leader. I'm using braid, but you can use mono, you can use fluorocarbon. And you're going to need a baiting needle. This is a tool that every carp fisherman should have if you're using a hair rig. It's just a little needle with a hook on the end, and you can get them at various carp fishing stores, and I'm going to put a link in the description to where you can get all the tools and tackle that I'm using here. So just fold over the end of your leader, make a simple overhand knot, and you can use the baiting needle to help you pull that loop. And you just making a little tiny loop, the smallest loop you can on the end of your leader, and just cut off the tag end. And this is what you start with, a little loop in the end of your leader. Then I'm taking one of these rig rings, okay? And this is what makes this a blowback rig, okay? The difference between a normal hair rig and a blowback rig is having this little rig ring here. And now what I'm doing is I'm tying a simple overhand knot onto the rig ring so the rig ring doesn't slide up and down the leader. And you want it about 1/2 inch to 1 inch from the end of the leader. However long you want your hair to be, that's where you put the rig ring. I like my hairs to be short, so I do about 1/2 inch. So this is the Corda Captor wide gap hooks, a number 6 hook. These are specialty carp hooks, and if you're going to spend money on high quality carp fishing gear, this is where you should put your money in. Good hooks. You can see these hooks are super sharp, and they come with little tip protectors to keep them from getting banged up in the box, and they are so wicked sharp. So anyway, you put that rig ring right where the shank meets the bend, right there in that corner, and then you feed the other end of the leader through the eye, and then go back and wrap 7, 8, 9 times down the shank. And then once you've got that done, you feed the tag end back through the eye. So basically you're doing a knotless knot, which is a fabulously strong knot. And so there you go. Now you could call this good. I mean, this is a really good blowback hair rig right here as is, but there's something you can do to improve your hook set and durability. So I take some of this Corda shrink tubing. Now this is different than electrical shrink tubing because it shrinks with just steaming water as opposed to a heat gun. And you cut off just about that much, okay, about twice the width of the wrappings on the shank, and slide that over, and so it covers up all the wrappings. Okay, and then I take one of these Corda micro swivels, little tiny guys. They're really strong, probably about 20 to 30 pound strength on these swivels, and I tie them onto the end using a simple polymer knot. Now you could do a surgeon's loop instead of using a micro swivel to save a little money, and that's perfectly fine. I mostly just use the swivel so that I can tie these rigs directly onto a main line if I want to. But really, this is one of the more unnecessary parts of my rig. Okay, just tie a simple polymer knot to attach this swivel and make your leader short if you're going to be using a method lead. I prefer about 5-6 inches of leader for a method lead, but you can go as short as 3 inches and you can go as long as 12 inches or more. Anyway, this is what the rig should look like when you're all done and tying it up. And see, I made a whole bunch of them, and there are a little bit variations in length. It doesn't matter all that much, but you want them shorter when you're using method leads. Anyway, get your tea kettle out, get a nice head of steam coming off there, and get a pair of pliers, and you stick that shrink tubing in the steam, and within seconds it shrivels right up, and you want to bend it at about a 45-degree angle from the eye, so it looks like that. Okay, then you take some fake corn, and there's a lot of different brands, but this Corda fake food seems to be working pretty well. It's got kind of a tutti frutti flavor embedded into it. Comes with some bait stops in the package, and I slide it over lengthwise, just like that, using the baiting needle. Leave a little bit of the loop exposed at the top of the corn, feed in the bait stop, and then just pull it really hard to pull that bait stop and sink it into the plastic so that it's as smooth and low profile as possible. And just kind of keep it all nice and straight. Make sure that rig ring's right on the corner of the shank and the bend, and there you go. And that bend in the shrink tube, that 45-degree angle in the shrink tube, makes it so as the hook's leaving the fish's mouth, it twists sideways and digs point down into the bottom lip of the fish. These hooks are really fabulous for always hooking a carp in the bottom lip. Prevents gut hooking, has better hookup ratio, you lose fewer fish, they're super sharp. This is a great rig, and the fake corn keeps it so turtles can't get at it, bluegill don't steal your bait. If you don't want to tie them, you can buy your own. Corda makes these pre-tied hooks, but let me show you the method leads here. There's a lot of different brands, but you can see here this is the type of method lead I'm using. They come in different sizes, like 25 grams, 30 grams, 40 grams. Fox makes a brand that looks like this, and there's a lot of different models out there, but they're inline leads. These versions are all inline leads, so you slide it on your line. And I do mine a little bit different than most carp anglers over in Europe do. I put on a helicopter sleeve, and this acts like a little bumper or a bead would in a normal bottom rig. Then I take some swivels. You can use a number 8 Corda hook, or you can just use any good sized swivel all here that you find here in the US. And I tie that on underneath the helicopter sleeve, okay? And that's what's going to keep the line from pulling back through the method lead, okay? Then I take one of these Corda quick clips, okay? They're just like a high strength paper clip that you feed onto your swivel. It allows you to change out rigs quickly and easily. This is great for when you're transporting your rods. You can take your hook off and then put it back in your rig wallet, and then put it back on when you're fishing very easily, or switch out rigs. And then you attach one of your pre-tried rigs, and there you go. That's what the whole thing looks like. You can see that when you pull it tight, the quick clip goes inside the helicopter sleeve, and that keeps it from coming undone accidentally. So as I promised, here's some simpler ways. I'm going to put a link to some other videos I've done a while ago that show you simpler ways of tying these similar rigs. This method is just the basic hair rig. You don't need shrink tubing, you don't need rig rings or micro swivels. Just a baiting needle, some line, and a hook and a bait stop is all you need. So this is probably the most simple hair rig. It's still a really great rig. Obviously I like my rig, my more fancy rig, better. But if time is short, or if you don't have a lot of money for lots of fancy equipment, don't be afraid to use this. This will greatly improve your game. And here's another video on how to tie a hair rig that doesn't require a bait stop. Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you like what you see, don't forget to click subscribe. We put out multiple videos every week, and we have playlists specifically designed to teach you how to tie rigs, and playlists specifically designed to teach you how to catch carp. Thanks for watching.